Hello and welcome to World Financial Planning Day. I'm Noel May, the CEO of Financial Planning Standards Board, the global standard setting body for the financial planning profession. FPSB's mission is to develop global standards for the financial planning profession, and our vision is to establish financial planning as a globally recognized profession all over the world. Today, on World Financial Planning Day, Financial Planning Standards Board and the global financial planning profession partners with the International Organization of Securities Commissions, or IOSCO, to support IOSCO's efforts to promote consumer financial education and consumer protection, as well as to raise awareness about the value of financial planning, the value of having a financial plan, and the value of working with a financial planner who is committed to standards of competency and ethics. Our theme for this year's World Financial Planning Day is Live Your Today, Plan Your Tomorrow. We encourage consumers all over the world to discover how a financial plan can help you feel more confident and in control, better able to stay on track with your goals, and better able to balance the needs of today with your dreams for tomorrow. To learn more about World Investor Week and about events and activities being hosted by regulators in your territory, visit worldinvestorweek.org. Visit our World Financial Planning Day website at worldfpday.org to find out what events are being hosted by the FPSB affiliate and CFP professional community in your territory, or to download financial planning resources. And don't forget to join our global conversation using the hashtags WIW2022 and hashtag WFPD 2022. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Martin Maloney, the IOSCO Secretary General, to talk about IOSCO's goals for World Investor Week and the role that financial planning and the financial planning profession can play to support IOSCO's goals in education and investor protection. Welcome, Martin. Thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to join you, Noel. I think this is the second time we've done this together, and it's really a pleasure to be back with you again.
It's becoming habit forming. Thanks for joining us, Martin. What I wanted to do today is just have a chat with you and ask a couple of questions to get your input and your insights on IOSCO and the focus for World Investor Week. And so, typically and traditionally, it would be that regulators have focused on consumer protection and market performance issues. Why did IOSCO decide 6 years ago that investor education and financial capability should become a strategic priority for the global regulatory community?
If you take a step back, Noel, and it's a really good question. If you think about the fundamental reason why we've got regulation and why we worry about the position of retail investors in particular, but of financial markets in general, it's because of what the economists like to talk about as information asymmetry, which is there's some people in the markets who know a lot more about how the markets work than you do. Mm-hmm. And we sometimes have rules to stop them from misusing that better information they've got. But another way of solving it, very popular way, is not to have rules, because that clogs up the market a bit. But a good way is to get good disclosure out there to people about the risks and the dangers so that they can plan for themselves. But you immediately see the gap. If we decide not to have rules, if we decide just to have disclosure, then people need education. They need to be able to understand the often complicated information that they're getting from the market in order to be able to plan for themselves. And that has become more and more true as time has gone by. And IOSCO built on the back of its experience in drawing the conclusion that it needed to look at investor education, because we see trends coming, for example, from technology or from the development of instruments which look like financial investment products, but are frankly closer to gambling. And mm-hmm. People need to know. They need to know how to take advantage of the technology, but not to get taken advantage of. They need to know how to avoid the gambling products and find the good investment products. And they need to be able to plan for their future. And by the way, I love your motto for this year: live your todays and plan for tomorrows. That, in a way, that's exactly the point.
Wonderful, great. And as you said, it's an ecosystem just balancing the right products, the right information, and the right level of care for investors. What about, so you focused for World Investor Week 2022, you're highlighting two themes. investor resilience, and sustainable finance. Can you tell me, why did IOSCO pick these two themes, and what are you hoping to achieve in sort of focusing in these two areas this year?
So let me talk about sustainable finance, because we actually had sustainable finance as a theme last year. Why did we bring it back again this year? Because the demand is out there, because so many retail investors are really interested in sustainable finance.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because frankly, because there's a problem out there, because while the investment markets have moved to respond to demand from investors in relation to sustainable finance, that has led some asset managers and some others into activities that are being called greenwashing, and with some justification. There are pitfalls in the market at the moment in relation to sustainable finance. And also, it's really tough. If you're the kind of investor who really wants to invest in a sustainable finance investment product, they're hard to find. It's hard to figure out what is the good information from the bad information. So there's a particular struggle for investors. So back we come to the same issue for a second year in order to try to get some of the key messages across. And in relation to resilience, you know, I think this is a fundamental issue for us, because a lot of people, when they hear about financial planning, they sort of think about it as being about what some economists would call robustness, which in relation to financial planning might be just get a load of money and then you'll be robust and you'll be in a good position because you'll be well off. But actually, without making yourself hugely prosperous, without getting loads of money, you can, by clever financial planning, make yourself more resilient, able to take the hard knocks, able to deal with the problems that come around the corner for all of us. So we want to get that message across around being intelligent about your own financial situation, not overreaching, not committing to something that you can't stick with for the longer term if other things in your environment change.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. And certainly the research we've done globally shows having a plan and having goals help people adjust as the uncertainties of life come their way, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking about uncertainties of life, so here we are in this hyper digitalized world. We have cryptocurrencies, we have influencers, there's geopolitical conflicts going on right now, inflationary trends, and we're still not sure, are we in or out of COVID? And from your point of view, where do you see the most risks right now for investors as they're looking to get into the markets, as they're looking to secure their finances and their futures?
Certainly, the obvious thing to talk about at the moment is inflation, but things like, and inflation is a huge issue clearly for investors. It's really important that asset managers and advisors who are advising investors take into account the inflationary environment and change the advice they're giving, because not only is inflation high, but monetary policy is changing. Therefore, we can expect interest rates to change. And you should expect your advisor to be thinking and talking to you about that. And if you're planning for yourself, you should be thinking about that yourself and doing a bit of research and thinking about what are the better products for this kind of environment, given what I need. But if you turn to cyber, which is very tempting, or has been in the past for a lot of retail investors, there continues to be a lot of interest in that, even if the price is not as much as a draw as it was recently, and the risks are still there. And the fundamental risks in relation to cyber, fraud has been a huge risk, and we're getting closer and closer to jurisdictions regulating cyber properly. So hopefully when that happens, we'll get away from that fraud risk. Market integrity continues to be an issue in relation to cyber. A lot of the products that are traded on what I'll call cyber markets, frankly, those markets are not well surveilled, they're not well looked at, they're not well overseen. And market manipulation is much more likely in those and some other markets. And if you've been trading or participating in more conventional markets, you're used to them being well regulated. You're not familiar with a market which has real market manipulation going on. And you can be burnt quite easily in that kind of market, because prices can move really strangely in that market. And the third one I would point to when we see some cyber markets and companies in trouble recently is you have your money on deposit with some sort of a cyber broker or market, whatever they want to call themselves. You do not benefit from the protections that you benefit from in relation to a conventional bank account. You don't even benefit from the position they're in relation to bankruptcy law. So you can find yourself in a very difficult position. You might think you had a tidy sum locked away with one of these cyber brokers, and suddenly you can't get access to it anymore. Those kind of issues, you really need to be careful about them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's like the scope of opportunity, the scope of risk has gotten broader, the pace has gotten faster, and almost to a certain extent, the asymmetry you talked about earlier is probably broadening as well. So, to that end, a lot of what Financial Planning Standards Board does is to seek to create this global community of professionals who will sort of work with their clients, help get their clients on track to plan their future. So, from your point of view, what would you see as the role of financial planning, the role of the global financial planning profession in supporting what IOSCO is trying to do around the issues of investor resilience and sustainable finance?
I think it's very easy to be glib about investor education. Investor education is really hard. It's not something that happens easily. You can't just expect that if you have set up a little center in the center of town or something like that to give people information that you solve the problem. Distributing information to people, distributing it to new generations who come on the market and who are new participants in the market is really tough. I don't think any jurisdiction has done it perfectly, but every bit helps. You have some documents on your website, for example, advice. Financial planning and uncertainty is a particularly good one at the moment that you've got. And I like the one called 5 Ways to Combat Financial Stress. I like that one. Right. Financial stress is a very serious issue for a lot of people. So look, we're making progress. World Investor Week is a huge success for us every year. It just seems to get stronger and stronger, but there's still a long way to go.
Absolutely. And look, I will say again, we very much value that partnership that we have with IOSCO in the area of sort of improving awareness, improving knowledge, improving resiliency. Last question I would have for you, Martin, is just from the point of view of in your own life, as we have all these events going out telling investors things they might want to focus on and be aware of. What piece of financial advice or education have you felt you've benefited from the most personally?
Plan. Plan. I would say, as I've got a bit older, and sadly I've got a bit older at this stage, there is huge reward reaped from decisions taken years ago to prepare for pensions and to prepare for kids growing up and going to college and all those things. Just plan. There is. You can get yourself into a straitjacket as you get older if you haven't planned, where you just simply don't have any freedom left because you're bound up without any choices. If you plan ahead, as painful as it may be when you're younger and the numbers don't quite add up, then it's still a huge benefit as you move along. Sometimes facing those realities of numbers not adding up and just trying to square the circle as best you can might not give you all the answers, but at least you know what the problem is.
Yeah, look, it's a message from our own hearts, 100% from our point of view. That our theme around World Financial Planning Day, it's certainly live here today, but the idea is plan for your tomorrow as well, and to be in a position where you're in control of your money. It's not in control of you. Look, Martin, always a pleasure to chat to you. Look forward to seeing you at the annual IOSCO conference, and thanks very much for your time and for your support of World Financial Planning Day.
No, thanks to you, and thanks to Ryan and all the team. Bye now.
Bye now. Thank you. Great. Well, look, we here at FPSB, we truly value our partnership with IOSCO as we work together to advance increased consumer financial literacy and capability. I look forward to the conversations that we're going to have within the global financial planning profession and within the FPSB network over the coming days and weeks around the area of how we can continue to serve and to benefit the public, and also how we can continue to our campaigns of World Financial Planning Day and World Investor Week to really ensure that consumers and investors have great outcomes. So on behalf of the FPSB Board of Directors and the FPSB Network, to all of our viewers and the global certified financial planner professional community, thank you all for tuning in. To learn about World Investor Week, again, go to worldinvestorweek.org, about World Financial Planning Day, worldfpday.org. Thanks so much. And again, happy World Financial Planning Day.